So 4 Rapelego Primary School pupils in Hammanskraal outside Pretoria, well, they remain in hospital from suspected food poisoning. The Gauteng Education Department says a total of 47 pupils fell ill yesterday after allegedly eating chocolate sold by a grade 7 pupil. 43 pupils have already been discharged. But let's now speak to Gauteng's education spokesperson, Steve Mabona, for an update. Steve, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Too many of these stories that we're looking at lately and very concerning, obviously. But your understanding as the Department of Education around exactly what took place here and where this alleged chocolate would have been obtained?
Good morning, Naledi, and all our viewers. Yes, the incident actually occurred on Monday. As it were, all those learners were actually rushed to different local, medical facilities. They were stabilized and attended, and were actually observed overnight. And on Tuesday, majority of them, they were then released or discharged rather from those hospitals. And late last night, we were also informed that the other 3 learners were also discharged. So we are now remaining with 1 learner in a facility, and we are hopeful that the learner will also be fine. The chocolates were allegedly given to this grade 7 learner, as we hear, by a certain man. So the police will then have to assist to check on his whereabouts and all those things. But there should be an investigation on this matter.
What do we know about this man who had given chocolates to a grade 7 learner to share with his classmates?
Not much, because they were sold and very cheap. I'm told. It's a brand that is well known, at R2 per chocolate. So it will be grabbed fast. That's why you will then see that many of these learners would have been affected, because to a certain extent, some way, will pop out the R1 each and get it, because it was, going for R2. So we don't know much about him, but we are hopeful that the police will then assist us.
Do we know where these chocolates would have come from? So certainly from the man, but we know the origins of where these chocolates would have been bought from by this man. So have we followed that trail of information? Because they may very well make their way back into the school.
Look, that's why we're saying other authorities will then have to assist us, because remember, as education, we have limitations. We can go to a certain extent, but beyond our purview, it will be difficult for us to answer even on what will transpire.
Yeah.
Department of Health played their role. They have samples of those. They can assist the police with the samples. They need to do necessary testing, and the police then will have to assist us with tracing the whereabouts, because the child is there. They can interact with the child on who gave him the chocolate.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about things that are then in your purview. I mean, what's the policy by the Gauteng Education Department around, foodstuffs being able to enter the school property and who is allowed to bring it in? Particularly when we've got a concern like this, perhaps measures that can be put in place to protect children in township communities, where we know that now for certain that they are growingly vulnerable.
Look, that belongs to governance at the school. Remember, we have SGB. SGB plays a significant role in making sure that they put the interest of their children at heart. Anything that happens in the school environment which affects children, the SGB must play a significant role. That's why I would normally say, even we have vendors outside this schoolyard, SGB must take interest on who is selling and what is it that they are selling. And they have a right to say, no, we don't allow you to be in our space, because it's their children. They have that right to say, we don't allow vendors here if you don't comply with what we would have put on the table to say, if you're going to operate in our space, this is what we require. So it's in the purview of SGP, and we'll normally guide them on how to implement their policies around our school, but also as a school management as well, we have a responsibility to work very close with the SGB and assist them and make sure that we understand what is happening in our space, because we can't, apportion blame in the event of anything to SGB only, but the school management must also understand on what is happening in their space, because remember, we are parents, when we have these children in our space.
Yeah, I mean, there is also the argument that, what happens with vendors who sell to school children, station themselves outside of school, there's very little regulation or, health checks over what it is that they sell to children. So is there an opportunity here for the Department of Health to draw a line in the sand where vendors are concerned selling to school children in townships?
The Department of Health, in collaboration with our officials, we have agreed that we will continue with the health education, which encompasses the food management, food handling, and also caution learners on how to check, food that they can, consume, sell-by dates, all those. That education will be going to schools. Actually, it's a continuation, because we had already started in some schools where we are having such challenges. So we'll continue with that education. But yes, you are correct. We also need to interact with the vendors as well and make sure that they comply, but working very closely with the SGB, because some of those vendors, they are parents. So you need to track very carefully. That's why we say SGB must play a significant role in making sure that our children are safe at all times.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us. Gauteng Education spokesperson there, Steve Mabona, giving us an update. So at the moment, one learner still in hospital, while the other 46 have been discharged in that incident taking place on Monday.